Hey, it's Ken here again with Ken's Small Church Tech, and I have a new video switcher that I'd like to share with you, the RGBLink Mini ISO. It is a standalone switcher. It includes PTZ controls. It includes a screen on the front, which is actually a touch screen for looking at multi-view and your and the different menu items. Which is really a nice touch, and it's in a very small, the smallest switcher that I have worked with so far. So the ones that I've been working with are the OC Go Stream Deck. I started out with all the A10 Mini series. So I went with the A10 Mini, the A10 Mini Pro, and our church is now using the A10 Mini Extreme, and it will continue to use that. But they've all been great switchers, and so I want to share this one with you. Hey, before we continue, if you do like this video, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell so that you get the updates as they come out for this switcher also. Now, back to the video. And there it is right there. This is the RGBLink Mini ISO. It has several features here that I want to highlight before I get into showing you how this works. Now, this is my first impressions. So I haven't spent a whole lot of time trying to figure out all the details of what it can do. This is my first impression, trying to get to those simple things that small churches need to have more than anything else. So what we have here, we have what looks like a typical switcher, from the A10 Minis to the OC Go Stream Deck, to the Fumaco M4, which is what I have been using lately. It has the quick push button switching between different videos, or between different scenes. So you have program view in the top row, you have preview on the bottom row, and it allows you then to use cut and auto to switch between those. So I can switch between my program view and my preview simply with a cut, or I can use an auto and get some of the transitions in between those two, and it works really well. You can switch between different inputs simply by pushing on a button, and you can go to different inputs that way also. What we have here is basic switching of video inputs. And those inputs can be either HDMI. We have 4 inputs on HDMI here. Let me switch over here. So on the back side, we have 4 inputs that can go HDMI, and then we have 2 outputs HDMI. One for the multi-view, and then one for the program view. The multi-view is also shown on the screen in the middle, but when you bring up the menu, let's switch this back over here. When you bring up the menu, on here you'll see the menu down here at the bottom. And this is a really easy to use menu. The touchscreen makes it really nice. You don't have to keep moving things. You can do that with this knob up here. So you can switch back and forth if you are not real excited about touchscreens. You don't have to have it. So you can do everything with what you want to from here, and you can select things and work that way too. I kind of like the touchscreen, so that's what I'll be using. I did try the RGBLink Mini Pro V3, and I didn't like it at all. It had a 2-inch touchscreen. It did not have a lot of other ways to control the menu. The touchscreen was difficult to use. For some reason, with my fingers being kind of fat, I wasn't able to hit the right spot all the time. This one does do a lot better. So when I go to the menu, I can usually hit pretty much every time. It will work for me, and I don't need a stylus or something like that to make that work. So this is a really nice touchscreen. I like this a lot better than the smaller RGBLink Mini Pro, and so this really was a major increase in value, I think, for between the RGBLink series. Besides the push buttons and cut and auto, you also have the T-bar slider. So you can always use that too if you're comfortable with that. You can pick and choose how fast you go. If you want to use different transitions, you can go to here, and I can go different transitions. So I can do a quick adjustment. There's a mix. Here's just a slide. So you can do several different things here for transitions. And then you can use the T-bar to do that, or you can use the auto button to do that too. So these are nice things, again, basic switching capabilities that this has that are really easy to use and make it nice for setting up your small church. All right, so those are some of the basic things. The multi-view obviously is something that's on your screen. You can also use an external multi-view. The nice thing about the external multi-view, and let me pull that up here. This is the external multi-view that you're going to be seeing. And as you can see, it's nice. It's portrait. Excuse me. It's landscape mode in this particular case, and you can see the video exactly how it's going to look out there. If you're looking on the screen for the actual machine, it's kind of compressed because it's a square screen. So it's compressed so much you can see it, you can see what's going on, but it doesn't really help you as much. It's nice having that external monitor. Do you need it? Nope, you don't, because it's all right here. The problem is when you go to the menu, so you can see the menu down here, but you can see on the actual multi-view external, there's no menu at all. So you can still see your line, your audio, that you're recording. You can see your media that's disappearing on here. So everything on that bottom row that disappears because of the menu, you still have available to you on that external monitor. So that's kind of nice, and that's going to come out of the back there. You can choose on the multi-view. You do have your 4 inputs, and then when you have it on the big screen, you can see the media input down there in the bottom left. Okay, so I got my menu up here. Let me get rid of that. So you can see the media input here, and then you have your audio for the media. You also have anything that you're playing over here. You have your line in mic 1, which is over here on the side. That's where I'm plugged in there. Mic 2 has a dongle here that comes with it, and that dongle has 2 options. But you have the 2 options on the dongle. You have your mic in and you have your headphone out. So that is actually pretty much like what you would use on your laptop. It's a TRRS instead of TRS plug-in on here. And one thing that I've discovered is you have to definitely make sure that your 1/8 inch plug is plugged in all the way. So I was having a little audio issues. I wasn't sure what was going on. All of a sudden there was one more little click at the very back. And now I'm working just fine. But you have 2 different mic ins and you have a headphone out because of this particular dongle, and that comes with the RGBLink switcher. You can do recording on here, and it goes right through this USB-A slot or port. You can do recording. Now what I have going on here right at the moment is this is a UVC input coming from a USB webcam, and it is coming in through the UVC, even though I could bring it in through HDMI because I have an adapter for it. So I wanted to try it with the UVC. That's now coming in through the media, and that's kind of nice too. So it allows multiple things going on and different ways to bring in the video that you want to bring in. This is also where you would bring in a movie or a video that you have recorded. That would also come in here, and also this is where you will record to. So right now I cannot record on here because I'm bringing in a video, or bringing in live video from my USB webcam. What I'm doing is I'm recording this over on a different switcher. So you have the 4 HDMI ports at the top. On the side you have 3 or 4 SDI ports. Now what will happen is SDI1 and HDMI 1 are using the same channel, so you can only use one at a time. You switch that out in the inputs on the menu. I have HDMI 2 coming in right now, or excuse me, SDI 2 coming in from my camcorder right behind me. So there it is. So this one is on SDI. That is basically 1080p video coming through the SDI ports. The HDMI can come on up to 4K. So all 4 of the HDMI ports are capable of dealing with 4K inputs. SDI is going to be 3G SDI, which is basically 1080p, and that comes in. You can use one or the other depending on what you have or what you like running through your church, whether it's SDI cables or HDMI cables with extenders or whatever you want to do. They all work, and I got other videos that show some of that also working. See, what else can I tell you about this? It does have a webcam out, which is this blue USB cable that goes to my laptop, and from there I can go into Zoom or Microsoft Teams or WebEx or any of the webcam outlets. I can also bring this up on my camera on my computer, and I can actually use that as another monitor if I really wanted to. So I can actually bring that in, put that on my camera view on my computer, and it comes up as another monitor, basically another program out. Works out really nicely. Then you have the Ethernet input on the side here also. If I come over to here, there you go, you can see it. On the side right here is the Ethernet input. That's coming from my local network. And from there, I can actually bring in other things into the media. So from there, I can bring in NDI. The nice thing about NDI is you can bring that in across your network, and it doesn't require anything other than that network cable coming into this particular computer. Now that's going to take the place of the USB or UVC input in the media block. So there's kind of a extra things going on there. You can only bring in one at a time. But this does have the decoder built right into it, so it can decode NDI coming from cameras or from another computer or from your phone. All of that can come in on your computer here. The other thing that we have going on here is that the NDI is also an encoder. So not only can this decode NDI coming from cameras or computers, it can encode it and send it off to another computer. It can send it off to your phone. It can send it off to another switcher. It can send it off to someplace else that you might be able to use it. That allows you to, again, without adding extra cables going different places, to send something long distance within your church. To me, the best thing that would be able to do would be sending the program feed out to like a cry room. Especially if you have a computer connection in there, you have a network connection in there, wherever you got a network connection elsewhere in the church, you can send that program view with audio out to that particular location, and you don't have to add in any more cables. That is a really nice upgrade. This is the first of the 4 switchers that I've been using to have that capability. The Fomaco got me started using NDI. I've never used it before until I started playing with the Fomaco lines of cameras and the switcher, and they all allowed NDI, the ones I was looking at. But this is the first one that actually sends NDI code out, and I can see that really working well. Now, if you are going to be using NDI on a regular basis, you do need to make sure that you have a strong enough network for the amount of video that's going to be going through there. So that's something you got to think about. And this is NDI HX, not full of NDI. What else we got? Oh, audio. We got all these audio buttons, which is really nice to have right here on the switcher. The nice thing about these audio buttons on the switcher is they're right here where you can adjust them if you need them. So with my microphone coming in, if I want to give it just a little bit more tweak up, I can do that. I can bring it back down if I want, and I can adjust things right here on the audio. Audio follows video. It has a button for you to turn that on. If you want to leave it off most of the time, you can turn that on. And again, I got to look at the easiest way and the best way to control my audio, but the buttons are all right here for me to do that. And that's really a nice touch, because as I'm looking at the multi-view, I can look at my audio inputs and I can make adjustments without having to go into the menu or someplace else. So I do have that capability within the menu. So through the audio part of the menu right here, you can select the audio, mix, AFV or off, and on the mics, you can also add in gain or delay. So if you find yourself that your voice is just not syncing quite with the lips coming through the mic, so if you got an input on a from a audio mixer and it's not quite synced, you can always delay the audio a little bit right here. So that's nice to have besides the gain on that. For the line inputs, pretty much what you have is mix, AFV, or off. And if you are mix or AFV, you can up the volume right here. But that's the extent of the controls there. You do have some controls over here. So again, audio, something I'm going to continue to work with, but there it all is. First impression, that's a great idea. Then we come over here to the joystick. So between the joystick and the zoom, you may be able to surmise that there's the PTZ controls, and that is exactly what that is. So those are PTZ controls for the cameras. I don't have those set up right now, and that's something that I'll be looking for. And you can just stick around, subscribe to my channel, and you'll see some more in-depth work with the this RGBLink switcher. But that's really nice to have right here. The zoom is for the same purpose. Now both of these also work with the picture-in-picture and some of the keying capabilities for setting up the different layers. So that's something to think about also, but you're going to be using both of these buttons for that. And again, I haven't been playing with that yet, and I'm anxiously looking forward to what I can do here in the future with those. But they are there. The big things, again, I'm using right now are the switching capability, the ability to do simple menu items. So when I go into menu items, I can go into input, and I can choose what I'm going to be bringing in input. And if you look on, for instance, on number 1, I can choose either HDMI or SDI. Number 2 is set up for SDI, and you can see that set up there. 3 and 4 are both set up for HDMI. Input 5 is going to be the media input down in the corner, and you can set up NDI decoder, you can set up UVC, you can set up media files. All of those can be brought in to the media. So again, I'll be working more with this here, and we'll talk more about that in the future. You can choose backgrounds and logos, and I'll talk to you more about that also on a later date when I get more into the details. And these also set up layers. So A and B, you can see A flashing right now. I've just got one layer going, so that's why it's flashing. You can set up a second layer, and there you can see that there's a picture-in-picture in the top left corner. I'm going to turn that off, and that turns off the picture-in-picture. So quick picture-in-picture inputs and other keying inputs right there, A and B for layers. And then, of course, you have your menu button. Bring that back to the main one. Here's your audio. I already talked about audio. Here's your output. So you can choose the format. Here's where you can check your stream. Make sure you're set up for your stream, what your bit rate's going to be. Recording. Obviously, when I hit recording, I don't have a disk attached to it, so nothing's recording right now. But you can do that. You can configure that. You can configure a USB capture. I haven't even tried that. We'll figure out what that means here in a little bit. So if I go back, and then I go back here, view. This is what I'm thinking is setting up the presets. So we'll be looking into this. I think this is where the presets are going to be set up. Go back, and you can see how well this menu is working with my touch here. Okay, transitions. I already chose a couple of those and showed you how those work. Different transition effects, and there's, I think, 16. Here's some of the keying effects. So we can set up the key, the color keys, and set up the mix and minimum and margins, and so we can make adjustments there. I'll be going through that. I got a green screen we'll be using, and we can look at that. PTZ cameras. Here's where we can set up the PTZ cameras, and what you're going to need to do is make sure you know what the port is, the IP address. Lastly, you come to settings. Here's where you're going to set your language, your device version, your tau cloud. Tau cloud is RGBLink's control space online. You can set up all your controls for your menu through TauCloud. You can also set up, and you have to set up the NDI, so you have to go into TauCloud, get an account. You don't need to pay for the account, it's a free account, and you can set up your NDI. You can also have to bind this to their cloud for you to be able to use that. So all of that's done. It's pretty simple. Here's what I found out as far as the cloud is concerned. If you get your Mini ISO and check your firmware edition, if it's 1.37, you're about 2 behind. Even though mine told me that 1.37 was up to date, nothing was working for me. I was really frustrated the first night I even pulled this out. I decided to send them an email. They showed me how to upgrade to 1.70. So 1.70 is the current as of the date of this recording firmware edition, and once I did that, suddenly the TauCloud worked. I was able to bind the switcher to their service up there in the cloud, and immediately I was able to also set up the NDI, again, both decoding and encoding simultaneously, simply by logging in and giving them information there. Once I did that, everything else seemed to work a lot better also. So check the firmware edition, and you do that again through the menu. Let's go back to here. You do that again through the menu, through the settings, and you're just going to come down here, and you're going to look right, come down. There you go, update. So you hit the update. It should go looking for it if you're hooked up to the internet, and I have the latest 1.70. All right, so that's the easiest way. If you don't have that, contact them, and they can send you the details on how to upgrade to 1.70. You can set up time settings. Mine was all off, and for where I'm at now, it's all set. They're good. IP settings. I just set myself up for DHCP, so it automatically finds, and it's going to be finding for me. It finds the same exact IP address every time I log on. So DHCP is the way to go, or you can set it up manually by turning that off. TauCloud there, like I said, so you can set that up. And again, if all else fails, reset it and start over, and that's on in the settings also. So there's your menu and simple touchscreen capabilities. Let's go to one last place, and I'm going to take you to the web control right here on, and I like this better than the TauCloud. So the TauCloud, you got to set everything up, but once you have it all set up, then you can go to the web control. So let's switch screens. Okay, now for web control, what you have is you have a website, or I should say an IP address for your Mini ISO. So for this here, you pick up your IP address, make sure you know what that is, and then you're going to plug that into your web controls. For me, that's in Google Chrome is the way I get to it. I know 192.168.7.178 is my switcher here, and there you go. Now you notice it's giving me the screen of the infinity screen here because I'm looking at the program view. So this is actually the program view out. So you can hit the effects. So as you set up your transitions, you can see that happening now on the screen. You can set up you can do mix, you can do whatever kind of transitions you want, and you can select them all here instead of having to worry about your menu. We can also go to picture-in-picture, and we can set up a picture-in-picture. Now that's going to be set up on the preview side, and you can see there it is. So there's my preview, or there's my other picture-in-picture, and so I can set this up so I can do both right here. So I'll just leave that up for right now. You can do chroma key, and you can set up your chroma key in here just like you could on the menu items. They do have different names in the web system than what they necessarily have on the menu items, so that's a little bit odd. Views, views on the menu system are scenes on the web page. So again, whoever was doing the web page was using different names for some of these things. It does the same thing, and you can get to it. Your output, your main output, this is going to be your program view, or what you're going to be bringing, what resolution you want. And again, this is able to be set the same way as you could on your program, on your menu items. You can record from here, and then this is where you set up your push flow or your stream for live streaming. Now they tell you that you can do 4 streams. The first one is set up by RGBLink. I'm not sure where that actually goes to, and that in itself is a little bit of a concern for me, but I will be looking into that, what's going on with that. But here's my YouTube stream. The YouTube stream requires you to set up the stream address. So that's going to be the RTMP address. So you're going to be putting an RTMP address, then a backslash, and then you're going to be using the stream key and plug that in there directly after the backslash. So it's got a copy button in YouTube for both. If you haven't used that before, I will be setting up a short video on how to do that in here at a later date, but not too far from now. So yeah, your stream address and your stream key both go in here. Once you do that, you hit the on air here, or you can hit the on air right here on the switcher. Right there. So you can do that in either place. That's all you're going to do. Now I would have another screen open with my YouTube channel up, so that I can monitor that everything is actually working over to there. But here's where you're going to set that up. So this is much easier than using TauCloud. You can just do it right here. And then of course your settings. There's all your settings again. There's your IP address, what you got to have to get into here, so you got to make sure you get it from there. Setting the fan control. This can have a fairly large or fairly loud fan, depending on what your ambient temperatures are. So you can set the controls. You can set it to automatic or several different levels. That's up to you. But there is a fan in here, and that's really nice. It does get pretty warm. And then of course you can find information about your device here. So that's the web controls. Turn off the picture-in-picture up there. Let's see that. There we go. Now I just turned off the picture-in-picture. On the preview mode, if you want to have the picture-in-picture on, you got to turn it on with the preview mode, and then you switch it over to the program mode, and then you turn it back off, and then you just still have your primary layer. So having said all that, I hope that helps you make a decision. And again, stand by for additional information and knowledge coming through. And I appreciate you watching my videos. Please subscribe and hit that like button so that I know that you're appreciating what I have, and other people can see that better by having more people like these videos. And I will see you next time. Until then, God bless.